Click this little thing. Got it.
Are we?
Take it away, I guess. Okay, hi, I'm Courtney, and this is my sister Dana. We're the
Hello.
Ink Sisters. And thank you guys, Michaels and Dremel, for asking us to be here, and we're so excited. We have a lot to cover, so we're gonna pretty much just jump right in with these crazy troll, elf, whatever fantasy ears you can think of. And I guess to preface this, we wanna say that we're doing this very fast paced to fit it in an hour. So we recommend just taking notes, learning how to do the techniques, and maybe going back and reviewing the video later, and taking your time and practicing and really fine-tuning your ears to be at the level of expertise you want it to be.
Yeah, I will say that the ones that we've made took longer than an hour, so we're just going to try to fit this all in so you can see all the steps.
Yeah.
So,
You ready?
I suppose.
Okay, I'm gonna switch cameras so you guys can see what Dana's doing. And let's just hope it works flawlessly.
Always.
Boop, yay.
All right, so first step is we need to trace out our pattern. We have this PDF that we made of a very basic ear pattern. You can just print it out, fit to scale for a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. This is the size it'll get. We're going to trace it onto some 4mm EVA foam. You can buy this in rolls at Michael's. We chose the 4mm because it's thin enough to be like an ear, but gives you a little depth so you can carve away at it with your Dremel. So just taking a ballpoint pen, I'm just going to lightly trace around the pattern. Because these are ears, they're organic, so it doesn't have to be perfect. If you wanted to tweak it a little bit, you wanted a more slender ear, you want a more gnarly ear, certainly could modify it any way you'd like.
Yeah, it's a good just starter template if you like have a need for a different type of mythical creature that has maybe a skinnier, longer ear. You could just take this template as a base and then elongate the tip, or just play with it if you need some sort of starting point.
For the internal lines, I'm not going to cut this out. By using the ballpoint pen with the rounded tip, I can kind of just press through the paper into the foam. It will leave an indent, so I can go back and trace it when I'm done. And this is how also when you make the other side, the other ear, if you just flip this pattern over, face down, and then just follow the lines you made. I'll show you in a second when I take this off. So all these lines on the inside of the ear are just very general lines that kind of give you somewhere to, because if you look at your ear, you have lots of folds and crannies. And that's kind of just a reference point where we're going to keep high points and low points. And you can't see it so good, but I did trace with the pen and it left an indent in the foam. So now I can just go back over with my pen and remark those lines. I got the ear hole there. Another ridge here. One more there. There is that. And then if I wanted to turn it over, you can see the pen left an indent where all these lines are. So to make the other side of the ear, I would just do this, trace it, and then trace over these lines I have. But I'm only going to do one for this demo purpose. So next step, you want to cut it out, just taking a utility blade, X-ACTO knife. And you
box
don't,
cutter, whatever.
yeah, or a
Scissors.
box cutter. And you don't need to make any angles. You just want 90-degree straight down. Make sure you have a sharp blade. Go around the outside only. A little tip there. Okay. There we go. So here's our ear, 4 millimeter thick. And then comes the messy part. I'm gonna put on, some gloves to keep my hands clean and also protect me from the Dremel tool. If I happen to nick myself, I get a little scent, like a sandpaper burn or something, but. And just maybe to help you guys see what I'm gonna be doing here. This outside lip, I want to be the highest. That's like the rim of the ear. This is like where your ear hole where you'd hear. I want this pretty deep. I want this to be one of the deeper points and this to be one of the deeper points. So just, I'm gonna start with that.
Can you hold it up to the camera? Looks like it's here. Keeps like white balancing out the entire. Maybe I'll give you like a Sharpie or something. Oh, that'll mark it up too much. Huh?
I wonder if that make it worse. Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Sorry guys, it's just the white foam. It just, the camera's like, I'm just gonna white balance it out. So there you go. You can, oh, perfect, right there. Yeah. So the X's are where it's gonna be the deepest divot she's gonna carve out.
All right. So I'm using a Dremel 3000 with the flex shaft attachment. This really is nice because you can get in there and hold it like a pencil, and it's good for getting in these fine spots. I'm going to start off with the larger sanding barrel with the extra fine sandpaper, and then we're just going to start digging out.
And I'll just say real quick, you can use the Dremel LITE or what was the other one? I think really any Dremel model will work for this project because it's such a lightweight carving craft.
Yeah, right now we're using the 3000, but I know if some people use the LITE too, then you might not need
the shaft
as much because it's very light, as the name says.
Yes.
All right, it's gonna get loud. Hold on. I'm gonna start dremeling. I have my Dremel set to about 4,000 RPM. Or level 4 on the dial. So let's go. So what I'm first going to do is using the edge of the sanding barrel. I'm going to go around and mark the lip of the ear on the edge by holding the tool at an angle. I'm using the top of the barrel to cut a line, which is going to accentuate like the lip around the ear and kind of taper it into the inside of the ear. Does that make sense? Always do light strokes away from you. It's a lot easier to go back and take more foam off than it is to try and get foam back on, which is impossible, you think. So take it slow. Better or worse. Right now, I just have a lip around the edge.
can kind of see the experiment with lighting there in the background. Not sure if it's. I'm just gonna keep going. Yeah, just keep going off, try to look at it. So another technique I'm gonna use is I want to get the deepest parts of the ear trenched out. So taking the large barrel, I'm just gonna start from the tip and then pull it back and just make a deep valley. Key again is just light strokes. Just keep building. And as you're making the deeper areas, just be conscious of how thick your foam is. You don't want to be going through all the way through to the back of the foam. So you can pick it up and test it, feel it, make sure you're not too close to the backing. I got my 3 there. The 3 trenches dug, so my deepest points. And now I'm gonna go in and this is my ear so far. I went in with the Dremel, dug those deeper trenches. Now I'm gonna, these other lines that I've made here, I want those to be valleys as well. So I'm gonna use the side of the large sanding barrel and just kind of drag it down just to make a, instead of like a little pool, this is gonna be a long trench all the way from top to bottom. So. Down. Down. You kind of see textures we're getting. We have the higher points and the lower points. I'm just going to keep going in with the tool and refining my shapes. If you have a hard edge that you're trying to smooth out, just I find that taking the side of the sanding barrel and just lightly doing a circular motion will break up some of the tool marks that you have. It's okay to have some texture because it's an ear, but you don't want any gouges or anything to show up. And this is something that's going to take a few times to try. Carving into foam certainly is not just something you do. So don't be frustrated if you mess up. It's a tiny ear. You have a whole roll of foam. Don't be afraid to go back and try again.
If you keep it at a lower RPM on the Dremel tool, that also will take away less material. So it'll take more time, but it gives you a little leniency. You kind of play with it and get a feel for what you want. If you turn it all the way up, you're just gonna sand right through your foam. So I went with something kind of medium-low setting just to give me a little leeway here. Instead of using the sanding barrel, I'm just kind of breaking down the lines that I made. Pushing it a little bit deeper in the crevasses. Another use for this larger barrel is we want to kind of smooth out the cut edge of the around the ear. We want it to be rounded. No one wants a square lobe. So again, taking the tool and pushing it away from you, not towards you, just kind of run it down the edge to stand down those cut lines so you have like a rounded edge of your ear. Keep coming at it from different angles, and you slowly can see that it will round it out. First, to save time, I'm not going to go all the way around, but I don't know if you'll be able to see it's rounded, so you don't have the flat edge like this. So I got the generic shapes that I want, but sometimes using this larger tool, I can't get into some of the tighter areas, so I'm going to switch to the smaller sanding barrel. I'll reach over here and just show this off a little since our out there. So you can see this sharper edge. Use the top edge of the barrel to get that crisp line. And then to dig out some of these trenches, use the side of the barrel and kind of buff everything out. Okay. And so now I just switched it to the smaller sanding barrel. I like the bigger one. It has a less chance of gouging, but there are like some tight points that I can't get to. So I'm going to go in and just clean up a couple spots with this same RPM. Mostly here in the ear hole, I'll call it. The listening hole. Just kind of pushing some of the trenches. There's no real right or wrong way to do any of this, so just experiment and play, and you might find a different tool that you like better or a different method for getting into the smaller spots. Just play around and see what is a good fit for you. Use that. Just went in and kind of tightened up the areas that the bigger Dremel or the bigger sanding barrel wasn't going to reach. But you can see I still have some funky texture in there. Certainly the barrel of the larger sanding barrel, you go back and do that circular light motion, that will help. Another tool that is useful for that is the aluminum oxide grinding stone. It's one of the grinding bits. It's cone shaped. So it's nice for getting into the tight spots, and it kind of just buffs out any sharp edges. Just softens it a little bit. So go back in there with this. And again, I like the circular motion to try to just smooth out any hard spots, any tool marks, especially along the edge of the ear. When you're using the top of the sanding barrel, sometimes you get some uneven lines, so you can go in there and just kind of use the tip of the comb and buff it out. If you hold it in one spot too long, you risk melting the foam. So just be aware, because the foam is sensitive to heat, so don't. Don't stay and press it in too long. This is more for buffing out. For grinding, if you wanted to take more material out, go back to the sanding barrel. This is just kind of soften things up a little bit. There, and tight spots again, which is the nice thing with the cone shape. Yeah, and again, it's going to take some playing around. You want to keep going back with the tools. If you wanted to take, basically, this is the way it goes. Yeah. So you can see the shape starting to form there. And I certainly would go back and smooth these out and maybe push some of the deeper spots. But this is, you can see the shape of the ear coming together. So the next step, once you get it all carved up the way you want, we need to heat seal the foam. And also by heat sealing the foam, we'll be able to manipulate the shape a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is take out a heat gun on like a medium hot setting. It's not really science. You know, I just pick something. You want it warm enough to evenly heat the foam.
You could use a hairdryer too.
Yeah. But I'm just gonna evenly heat the foam, and then I'm gonna go in and kind of stretch and shape the ear so it's not just a flat blob. So
To answer your question in the chat, if you were to accidentally melt a small spot during grinding, would the foam still take paint all right to cover it? And I think so. I think it'll be fine, because we're going to actually prime all this with a primer, a flexible primer. The texture of the foam won't hurt from melting, but if you do go really far in and put a hole in it, you might have to put a little piece of foam in the back to kind of patch that or something.
yeah, you can always work with stuff. If there's a texture that when you go to paint that you find that you don't like, disguise it with paint or make it a cool blemish. You know, it's always
Battle damage.
Battle damage. Whenever there's a mistake, it's an opportunity to be creative and make something cool. So a little melted foam certainly wouldn't be an issue. We could also, if it did melt, just take the sanding barrel and just lightly buff it off. It'd just be a surface, just a surface wound. All right, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna heat up the foam. You're gonna want some gloves that are heat resistant, or just if you want to hold it down with a tool, just be careful not to burn your fingers. Also, don't keep the heat in one spot too long, because it will burn the foam. Just want to heat it up. It will close the surface pores of the foam, which will help the paint adhere better. And also, foam is shapeable and stretchy to a point. So just, again, be careful not to bust your finger through the foam. but you can press into it and stretch it. You kind of push those deeper spots that you wanted and maybe curve the ear a little bit, just using the pads of your fingers. And once it cools, it will hold its shape. So I went with a little bit of a curly point there, but if it cools and you're not quite happy with it, just heat it up again and go back and work it some more. You'd be amazed how forgiving foam is, that you can get some really crazy shapes out of it.
And pretty soon we're gonna jump over to another room and start painting. If you guys have any questions so far, other than what's been asked already, feel free to throw that in the chat.
So that's just one bout of heat. You can see some more natural looking shape. But just keep working with it. Yeah. Sorry for the lighting issues, but
Yeah, that,
all right. I'll just show this really quick. Okay. So this is another ear that we have made it painted, but you can see how much shape you can get out of it by heat forming. Some creepy old goblin ears that are curled over, and yeah, so there you go. So now on to the fun part where we're going to make them look real.
yeah, another note, it's kind of cool, like with such a thin piece of foam, you can get so much depth out of it, which keeps it lightweight, especially for kind of like an ear prop like this on a headband. You don't want it to be super heavy and thick with massive layers of foam.
Yeah, very lightweight, very as comfortable as elf ears can be to wear for a costume.
Okay, I'm gonna switch cameras and you'll get to see me carry my laptop into the next room. Very glamorous. Let's go to built-in. Disconnect this. And could I ask you to get the power cable for me? Pardon my reach. Now the trick here, everyone, is that I don't disconnect my Ethernet cable while I'm moving.
You also get it swirl.
Going through into the next room and see my little dog. Thank you. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Ta-da! I'm so glad our camera thing worked. Okay, I think we need to put that down. And let me check these questions. Is there a thickness that is not a good idea to make this project with? I think just, you could certainly go a little thicker, and I wouldn't go thinner because I don't think you could really get much detail in without going through the material, but you could go a little thicker, just at the risk of the thicker you go, the heavier the ears will be.
Yeah, I feel like 2 millimeter, you wouldn't be able to carve much out of it without really risking going straight through. 6 could be good if you wanted something a little more gnarly, something you could carve into more. 2 would be outright.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
It is, you know, it's forgiving for sure.
Okay, so here we are with our little painting setup, and we have one ear that we put a base coat on already with some movie magic, so you don't have to watch paint dry. And this one, oh yeah, we primed this one already. Sorry, this camera is further up. my stuff up here. So this one we already primed, but I'll kind of talk through that first. So Dana had heat formed this one in advance. It's all carved and ready to go. So we took the FX primer, and it's flexible and clear. And just I think we ended up putting at least 2 pretty thick layers on both sides of the ear, maybe 3. If you end up going a little too light on it, that's okay. Your ear's just going to be, it really, all the primer really does in this step is stop the foam from absorbing all your paint, which makes it harder to blend and have accurate colors. So if you don't put enough layers on, it's still workable. It might actually have like a softer lip, but it'll be harder to kind of like do if you want to do dry brushing. But spattering still works. You can still get color on there. Again, all this stuff is, just keep playing with it. But anyway, so a few layers of primer on here already. We use this kind of broad, flat brush to kind of smooth out so you didn't have like brush lines in there. It's very forgiving material that they smooth out. It ends up drying without any brush strokes. It looks really good. So let that dry completely, and then we can move on to painting. And so we'll keep it really simple. Painting can be as complex or as simple as you want it to be. We'll start simple, and then as we have time, we can get fancier with it and just keep playing, which is our way. So we picked one base color. So we recommend just picking a color that you like, and we're going to be using Plaid FX and Folk Art paints. These are flexible acrylic paints. So, you know, we've already can see that we've got a flexible ear here. The paint is not going to crack. It's going to move. We can continue to shape the ear a little bit and play with it, and the paint will move with the piece underneath.
How long did we let the ears cool before we started to paint them?
Oh, from the heat gun?
Yeah.
It cools like almost instantly. So yeah, it will be 100% cool before we started putting primer on. It does not take long for the foam to cool down. Probably the time it took you to walk into the next room and back, and it's ready to go.
Yeah. And then is airbrushing okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that would be you need to airbrush, and you have to probably dilute your acrylic paints with alcohol or get some sort of airbrush friendly paints. But yeah, absolutely, you can use an airbrush if you're into that. We usually do our caveman approach.
Yeah, we like old fashioned.
Yeah, we like it slow and caveman like, I suppose. I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway, sorry, I'm trying to. I will take forever painting, so I'm going to try really hard to keep myself going. So we picked this color. It is called, I don't know, Aquarius.
Ears of Aquarius.
Yes. So this is going to be our main color, and all you need to do is pick one color you really like. All right, awesome. And then you need to get some black, and you need to get some white. I actually don't even have white. I have some parchment and some desert sand, which are just slightly off whites. That's totally fine. But by adding some of the white to our base color, we're going to have a lighter version. And by adding some black to our base color, we're going to have the shaded version. So we'll have all 3 main stages of the shading that we want to apply to this ear. The deep shadows, the highlights, and then for fun, we'll have a little sparkle. This ear will be kind of an icy ear inspired, like some sort of ice lich or something. We'll have a little bit of glittery ice at the tip of the ear if we get to it. Was there a question? Sorry.
No, I was just getting excited because you're excited.
I know. I just want to get to that glitter. Okay, so let's see. What do I want to start with? So we have the base coat. This one I did mix a little bit of black with our Aquarius and did a full coat of that. I was gonna demonstrate that, but I think to save time, I'm just gonna move forward with this ear already. So there's no, like, you could get scientific about it if you want to be really, you want to keep a chart of how much black or white you're adding to your paint, like by dipping in a toothpick and making sure you can kind of keep track of how much you're mixing each time. We eyeball it all the time. I think a little bit of variety is good, and you can always keep playing with the color to get it to match, but this is kind of the mix-up we did before. Not much black. You do not need a lot of black to get a darker shade. So always start light and then keep mixing in a little color until you get the shade that you want. So again, we're starting with our darkest color as a base. And then now I'm going to what do I want to start with? I think I might start doing like the even darker holes and trenches that Dana dug out with her Dremel. So let's get some paint on this piece of paper over here, and I'll stop talking so much. Or will I? Who knows? Maybe I will. And I don't know why I'm using a piece of paper to do this, but I am. You can use, you know, this wax paper that I have that I'm not using and should be. You can use these little trays. You can use a paper plate. There's no rules to this.
You can use a piece of paper on a paper plate.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So, got a black, see that. And I've got my little thing of water over here. I like to always keep a paper towel nearby because you can adjust, you know, how much water is in your brush and everything. As far as types of brush, I'll probably be using like a somewhat pointy-ish one. It doesn't really matter to get into these crevasses. And then we'll be talking about spattering a lot once I get to that step.
I was gonna suggest that maybe center the ear a little bit more.
Yeah. I hope that is good. My dog is preventing me from moving my chair. Everything's mirrored on this. I'm like, okay. So now we're gonna just take a little bit of black, a little bit of blue. I do actually want this to be darker than what I currently have. And I think that is successful. See a little bit darker shade. Maybe I'll put a little more black because, you know, ear holes, they go pretty deep. Again, Dana and I, we like to make things really dramatic and then bring it back up. Dramatic, back up, lighten it up. So let's put some color in here. So that's pretty subtle. I think I could go a little bit darker. Add a little more black. It's already like cooling in over here. This earlier I had pink in there. Water. Adding water again is going to give you opacity to play with. It'll also make it easier to kind of spread the color across the ear. In the deepest holes, if you get a little out of the lines, that's okay. We're gonna kind of blend that as we move forward. All we're trying to do right now is just give the deepest depths of the ear. So underneath this ear ridge, we're gonna want to get that really dark to really make it look like it's a ridge of an ear when it's really just a light dremeling that Dana did. And since I put like a lot of dark right into this crevasse at the base of the ear, and I'm gonna run out of terminology because I don't know my ear anatomy. But then I added a lot of water to my brush, and you can see you kind of just push a gradient out. So it's a little more gradual. That's French. I probably do this differently every single time I paint something. Kind of just feel it out.
I guess I'm going the path today where I'm just kind of doing really watered down version to kind of feel it out. Just kind of reveal where Dana dremeled out trenches. And then I'm blending it out from the deepest part of the trench up to the top of the trench.
The ridges, perhaps?
The ridges. My vocabulary is limited. I'm going as fast as I can to show you guys results quickly in this video. Otherwise, I just take forever on everything. And then you can get more dramatic once you're feeling a little more confident about where you've got these spots. Take a little more dark area. This is still a little wet, so it might be early to be putting black in there. So we're getting somewhere. Let's start playing with some spattering. I think that's, and then we'll come back and we can push these a little bit more. So I think I'm going to start with using just the straight up Aquarius color, which I already have spilling all over the place here, so it's perfect. I use this water, and to spatter, we want a sorry, that was unintentional. A short and stiff at the same time, bristly brush. You know, anyway, we do something like this. Some examples are this. I don't know how to put this. Left is right and up is down. So this one is like a softer one, but that'll do. Honestly, a toothbrush is great. You could also take a chip brush and trim it. But what we want is this flick effect, which, my gosh, I can't ever figure out where my hands are supposed to be in this camera. But yes, so we're just going to be going. And to do that, you need to put some water with your paint. So we're going to get this brush quite wet, and we're going to get some of our base color on there. And we'll just see what comes out of this. So, and this is honestly the best. I'm going to focus mainly on putting this on any of the highlighted areas. If it gets in the dark areas, that's okay. We'll be blending. It'll look more realistic if things kind of overlap. And again, the more water you have, the more transparent the paint will be. So you can play around with, you know, how much you want. It's going to look a little different once it dries. So I can spend hours just playing with this kind of stuff.
There's a question about showing how we're going to attach these for wearing.
Okay. That might be the most simplest part of the tutorial. Oh, do you want to demonstrate that?
I'm just gonna pop in here really quick. We just use these cheap headbands you can get at the local drugstore or whatever. And we just take a little bit of hot glue and just do a dollop, attach them, and then when you put it on, you just wear the ears in front of your ears instead of a normal way you would wear a headband where you put it behind your ears, and then just hide it with some hair. Pro tip, do not glue these on when they're on your head. They will glue it to your head. Not that I did that at all.
Here we are. It gives a really cool skin texture too, with all these little modeled looks. As far as I can go before it needs to dry. So while it's drying, I might, let's see. spatter actually in the dark areas. We can do that while this is drying. So let's see. Mix together some of the dark gray again.
For attaching the ears to the headband, we just used a hot glue gun. You probably could get away with using probably super glue, but something fast adhering so you don't have to worry about having them sit for a long time. You know, once you get them positioned where you want to be able just to dab a glue on there, stick it together, and have it stick. I love the idea from Maria, where you're just attaching clips to them, then you can just clip them into a wig or actually just sew them directly into a wig. That's awesome.
You can always you know, do a little test spatter on your side piece of paper or have a piece of paper available or something. So before you start putting it on your project, you can see if it's the right color or opacity you're looking for. And so I'm putting like a darker spatter in the cracks, and you see it's gonna go all over the place, and that's okay. I can even like dab some of that away before it dries, and that'll save me some cleanup later. But it's good that it goes out of the bounds a little bit. It's gonna end up looking more realistic that way. I'm just following where I already created shadow. Mix some of the very lightest color. So we'll be taking our base color with white. Flip this baby over. Some of this. Little dab, little dab. You know what? Every time I try to take a little piece of paint, just I know where to get more of that. Despite this giant piece of paint over here, I don't need that much. We're adding some white color to our base blue. And we have a light blue. And that could be our highlight. So we'll only put this at the very, very highest points where the sun would be reaching here the most strong.
Sun-kissed ears.
And then we'll get to, I'm just gonna keep trying to, how much time do we have?
You have about 10 minutes.
Oh no. Okay, we're gonna go real fast because we gotta get to the glitter, everybody. Oh no, gosh, should I ask sooner? Oh no, my brush has got dirtiness in it. Okay, don't put your dirty brush in your light color. Good thing I mix too much. Okay, so we got the light blue. We're gonna put that this on the very tip here on this ridge and this lobe. It looks
Oh,
good.
that's a sun-kissed
A
lobe.
little bit on these little nooks, but it's gonna go all over the place. So again, want to highlight in here, but you've got dark spots, so we'll just dab those so they stay darker. Want light blue in those crevasses, get some more blue. I want to really finesse make this ear tip light.
That's crazy talk.
I always think it's fun on elf ears to like make the tip something a little bit different, pick a fun accent color.
If you're gonna have pointy ears, they might as well be fabulous.
Yes. that little area is gonna be lighter. So you can keep playing again with the lights and the darks and getting what you want. But we're gonna try and jump ahead. And let's see. So I've got high voltage glitter, which is kind of like just a subtle glitter. So I was thinking we could put that kind of just overall. And then we've got this very chunky glitter called Glitterific, and it's really cool. There's like really big abstract pieces of glitter in there that I think would be cool to kind of position around on the tip. I did want to do more of a stark white, but I'm just gonna, oh, I'm sorry, I'm moving off the screen. I just put all this color on the tip and it's gonna take too long to dry. I want to put white on the tip real quick. I just use this guy. This is just straight white paint with a little bit of water. Make that look a little bit more dynamic and icy. You get a really cool gradient just by flicking it on like that. And again, we want to keep our little ear lip dark. Dab that off, and then of course we can go back in. I don't know if I have any paint left on this, but you know, if we want to re-accentuate these folds, we can go back in again with a little bit of a darker grayish blue. So we've got that. Let's throw some glitter on here. Let's see what this looks like. Oh yeah, some good stuff. You gotta just, it's like in a gelatinous soup really, which is nice because you kind of just like pick which pieces you like and move them around. And I imagine it's all gonna dry clear, except for the glitter. Of course, I've got like not dry white in there that I'm smearing around, but so there. So you can kind of just have fun with the glittery parts, and you can see all the spattering between the 3 different color shades that you're working with. You're gonna keep bringing down the lows, bringing up the highlights, and because you're spattering all of this, it's naturally blending together and it's looking a lot more like a skin texture versus just a hard edge. Which again, you can get the same effect, you know, with an airbrush as well.
Frostbite.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like so many fun things you could do. I don't know what kind of elf you have. I mean, is your elf an ice queen? Perhaps. Is it a goblin? Is it a elven priestess? Is she a druid? Does she have some runes, glowing runes? There's certainly hardware you can put in there. You could put some, like she got a tear in her ear because she's just, you know, she's been fighting and she got into some fights with your fighting.
Maybe it's a man elf, Courtney.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Could be a man elf too.
I think you were just picturing yourself as the elf.
I was just going off into my own fantasy, which is, you know, what we're here for. So, any questions on this painting technique or anything else, lest I ramble more? I guess I should show this up a little closer up. Again, I'm gonna do this not confused. Is that blue? Yeah, you guys can see. Certainly would spend a lot more time on this, but that is the gist of it.
Bring one of the other ones that we've done, or we've actually added actual earrings to it. I'm going to do the same thing Courtney did and go like this. So, one of our first tries. This was one of our very first years, so it's come a long way since then. And then more goblin-y.
So many years, make a whole party, ear party.
Whole rainbow of ears. Any tips for adding the jewelry?
No, it's so easy because it's foam. So you just push it through. That's all you got. Yeah. Push it. Yeah. And I mean, there's other stuff you could do. Other than your cuff, or however you want to decorate your ear. I think on this one we put little stripes. That's like what I was talking about with like a highlight color. You pick your main color, you add white for the highlights, you add black for the shadow, mix it all together, get your gradient, and then after that, you can pick an extreme different color to add like something like stripes or runes or something fun. Like I think originally I even had, it's hard to see in this light, but on this purple one, I took this hot pink and I kind of blushed it, like a little dry brush on the tip, and just kind of a cute little highlight with the purple. So it's fun to play with little highlight colors. The finishing touches, which are the most interesting.
Do you want to switch back to that camera just so we can say our goodbyes?
Yeah.
For their faces.
We'll wrap it up. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna just do a quick demo of putting these on. So yeah, they're just hot glued, and then what I do is I kind of tuck them under my hair and then set them in front of your ears, and then you just pull your hair. Again, I have short hair, so this is a lot more difficult,
But still doable.
Yeah. And then just cover where it reaches your ears. And ready for battle or mischief or whatever I am. But, very harsh lighting.
Yes, sorry for the harsh lighting. But again, thank you guys so much. And as they said in the chat, if you have any questions for this project or otherwise, we are always available on Instagram, Facebook, our website, or email, whatever. Find us, just Google Egg Sisters, you'll find something, and we are happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. This was fun. I know it's a lot of information crammed in, but hopefully it gives you an idea how to make something like this. And again, yes, ask us questions. Come find us online and show us what you make. That'd be pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. And thanks everyone who joined us today. See you at another Michael's class. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.